potato, that's the run-up to Christmas.
You've got to have a degree of flexibility in certain
Okay, sekarang dorang tengok tentang isu berkenaan dengan cabaran ketika peak hours. Assalamualaikum dan selamat kembali ke YouTube channel kita dan saya harap anda semua sihat. Dalam video kali ini kita nak fokus kepada isu yang sedang hangat sekarang ni tentang 4 hari bekerja lawan dengan sekarang punya praktis lah, which is 5 hari bekerja dalam masa seminggu. Johor dalam proses sedang menimbang tarakan antara kita nak start praktis lah 4 hari bekerja dalam masa seminggu. Dan saya tahu dalam konteks Johor ni, Johor dah praktis hari Jumaat dan Sabtu cuti untuk kerajaan, untuk government servants, dan untuk private swasta hari macam biasalah hari Sabtu dan Ahad bercuti. So ada some conflicts di situ, dan because of that, idea untuk mewujudkan 4 hari bekerja Isnin sehingga Khamis itu sangat menarik lah, tapi masih belum dibuat keputusan lagi. But then video kali ini saya nak buat satu reaction berkenaan dengan satu video yang sangat menarik saya jumpa di YouTube, yang mana developed countries UK sebagai contoh di London. Video ini dia buat comparison antara beberapa syarikat yang telah praktis 4 hari bekerja seminggu, dan kita boleh tengok bagaimana mereka punya productivity level, the challenges yang mereka hadapi, dan adakah Malaysia, adakah Johor ataupun Malaysia overall, adakah kita sudah bersedia. Tanpa melengahkan masa, jom kita tonton. Alright, so video ini adalah daripada CNBC Make It. Jom kita start.
These three companies all have one thing in common. Most of their employees only work 4 days a week. They're part of a growing number of businesses and governments around the world embracing the 4-day work
By the way,
week, something that was considered radical.
Sepanjang anda menonton video ini, cuba anda tengok setting office mereka, ya. Mungkin kita dekat Malaysia boleh dapatkan some inspiration daripada setting mereka even, ya. Kita sambung, jom.
A few years ago,
The COVID-19 pandemic appears to have sped up adoption of a shorter working week, with workers increasingly demanding a better work-life balance.
It's been a game changer for the 4-day work week movement.
Okay, remember kat situ perkataan ada work-life balance, itu yang cuba dicapai.
Managers now, since moving to remote working, have got much more sophisticated ways of measuring productivity, performance, output, so they're much more focused on quality.
Okay, kalau perasan dia ada mention tentang bila kita convert daripada transform daripada 5 hari ke 4 hari ni, the next cabaran adalah untuk measure, untuk mengukur performance productivity kita. Satu, sekarang banyak syarikat dah start buat data migration kepada software and whatnot. That's very good approach.
Output rather than quantity of hours. The pandemic has brought on this great resignation, this incredibly competitive labour market. So,
okay, sedikit point dekat sini. This guy ada mention berkenaan dengan great resignation, a very critical issue dekat Amerika. Dan sekarang dah masuk, UK pun dah masuk, dan dekat Malaysia sekarang pun saya dengar ramai juga rakan-rakan kita yang business owners susah dapat staff, lepas tu dapat staff pula, staff cepat, staff turnover sangat laju, sangat tinggi. Maksudnya staff tak lama dalam syarikat dan orang belah saja. Itu memang critical sekarang ini untuk mendapatkan staff yang boleh kekal. So that is why so itu apa yang dia cakap lah.
Employers are turning to the 4-day work week as something that could potentially give them a competitive advantage when it comes to recruitment and retention.
So, what can we learn from the companies and
So
workers?
kalau kita perasan, recruitment and retention itu adalah critical sekarang ini. So 4 hari ni insyaAllah lebih menarik untuk kita menarik lagi ramai masuk ke syarikat kita, ataupun dah masuk, dan retention maksudnya dia kekal dalam syarikat kita.
That have taken the plunge.
4-day working week. Okay, kita tengok, jom.
My first stop is London-based independent board game creator Big Potato Games. They first started trialling the 4-day working week in 2019 and made it a permanent.
Okay, so sekarang ni syarikat pertama yang orang buat interview, basically nama dia Big Potato Game something. Dia start 4 hari bekerja ini daripada tahun 2019. Menarik.
To the following year, writing it into employee contracts. Let's find out more.
Jom kita tengok.
Tell me about what inspired you
That's
to
interesting.
trial a 4-day working week.
It wasn't actually my idea or my partner Ben's, it was our other partner Tris. He'd read this article about a company in New Zealand who'd done it, and it'd been wildly successful. And he first proposed it to us, and we were like, no, that's crazy, like how would that ever work? And he was like, no, read the article. And we read it, and by the time we got to the end, it seemed like a no-brainer.
That's great. So apparently, maksudnya this company dia dapat inspirasi, dia baca satu artikel, kawan dia, orang punya partner yang bagi that artikel, dan orang baca dekat New Zealand, diorang pun dah start practice, dan diorang bawa that culture itu ke dalam company mereka lah di London, di Grab Potato ini.
founded
big
less than a
potato
decade ago, says revenue rose 350% since the shorter working week was introduced. In 2021, Big Potato generated a group revenue of £12 million, having sold more than 10 million games across.
So maksudnya profit diorang naik selepas daripada 5 hari bekerja ke 4 hari bekerja berdasarkan interview ini. Tapi saya tak pasti tentang control eksperimen. Contoh diorang buat ada satu ini dalam konteks sains, saya tak nak explain lah. Kita tengok dulu video ni.
22 markets around the world. But with a relatively small team of just 40 employees, operating on a 4-day week can become challenging during busy periods. For Big Potato, that's the run-up to Christmas.
You've got to have a degree of flexibility in certain
Okay, sekarang dorang tengok tentang isu berkenaan dengan cabaran untuk ketika peak hours, peak season sebagai contoh. Dalam konteks ini, dorang games kan. So Christmas adalah season yang sangat-sangat busy. So bayangkan mereka punya customer service macam mana dorang nak manage customer request dan sebagainya. So kita teruskan.
Within the company, our customer service team are phenomenal, but they work on a different pattern and they work on contract hours. They have a slightly different setup to some of the full-time employees. We need to make sure that our customers have always got customer service sort of representation there. So that's just never going to work with a 4-day week.
So maksudnya dekat sini diorang punya structure of the company, staff, job, delegation dan sebagainya, ada yang permanent, ada yang contract based, ada yang bekerja pada hari sekian. So cantik, smart dekat situ.
Also there's a unwritten understanding amongst everyone who works here. Is if I'm a designer and I have a deadline, I'll do it on a Friday if I have to. Marketing will do a photo shoot on a Friday. So there's a good mutual respect amongst all the different teams that every now and again you're just going to have to chip in. And that might be on a Friday, and that's all right because it sort of levels itself out across the company over a year.
Correct.
And Big Potato is keen.
Okay, menarik. This guy ada mention berkenaan dengan macam mana ada beberapa staff yang tahu kadang-kadang tak cukup 4 hari tu tapi diorang voluntarily datang ke office siapkan kerja. This is interesting sebab kadang-kadang when it comes to bila kita tahu syarikat kita ini sangat concern tentang kita punya well-being, kita punya kewarasan kita, kesihatan kita secara automatically kita punya hati ni tergerak untuk macam contribute back to the company. Right? So dia tak berkira dengan kita pun tak berkira dengan mereka. So once in a while, okay lah macam ni kan. So menarik.
Shorter week in place.
See, it's that little thing that I love being able to tell people, yeah, we pulled off a 4-day week because it's something lots of people would love to
successful.
have.
Yeah.
And I hope more people will do eventually.
It's made a massive difference. I mean, everyone is so busy all the time. Everyone's got loads of things going on. So it's just that extra day that you can get things like life admin done. You can just enjoy.
Okay, dulu masa saya kat UK, saya belajar kat UK, saya pun sempat bekerja dekat UK sekejap. Memang ketika working hours, memang mereka sangat fokus, jarang nampak mereka check phone, check Facebook, apa semua. Zaman tu masih Facebook lah. Memang sangat fokus. Even saya ada kawan pun yang dia pakai handphone yang hanya boleh reply message macam tu saja. Tak ada apps lain. Ada handphone yang very simple macam tu, and people yang macam tu exist. So menarik tentang fokus kita meningkat apabila kita tahu memang kita punya masa kita memang sangat limited. Interesting.
My next stop is Edinburgh-based food and drink marketing agency, Lux.
Sebelum tu saya teringat tentang Parkinson's Law. Parkinson's Law. Nanti saya letak link dekat bawah tentang bagaimana Parkinson's Law yang dipakai oleh Elon Musk ini boleh meningkatkan kita punya productivity. Saya letak link dekat bawah. Anda boleh explore lepas ni.
Here, some employees work Monday to Thursday, while others work Tuesday to Friday, ensuring every client is covered by a counterpart on that fifth.
Okay, this company pula dia ada 2 shift lah. Ada yang bekerja Isnin hingga Khamis, ada pula yang bekerja Selasa sampai hari Jumaat. Sebab banyak customer service, so diorang kena pastikan sepanjang 5 hari tersebut ada orang yang entertain dia punya customer lah. So dia susun ikut shift. That's menarik juga.
The week. Lux launched its 4-day week pilot in January 2020, just before the onset of the pandemic. Initially, the agency decided not to tell their clients about the trial.
It was imperative for us to be able to measure if it was working or not. So we set ourselves some kind of KPIs, I guess, in terms of how we're going to measure success or not. And one of them was if our clients don't notice, then that's a huge measure of it's working. So, yeah.
Okay, sekarang ni, this company pula, dia buat satu eksperimen, satu pilot berkenaan dengan diorang dalam proses diorang nak convert, nak transform daripada 5 hari ke 4 hari itu. Mereka buat pilot study lah. Diorang start that experiment 4 hari tapi susunlah macam tadi 2 shift tu kan. Kalau customer perasan tak ada beza dalam konteks ini, itu menunjukkan mereka punya eksperimen berjaya. Right? Beza maksudnya tak adalah benda-benda yang negatif. Orang kata bila kita buat 4 hari bekerja ni, customer service makin drop. Itu memang a big no lah kan. Tapi kalau customer service maintain ataupun makin hebat walaupun bekerja 4 hari seminggu, that's a big achievement. Okay, jadi kita tengok berjaya ke tidak.
None of our clients did,
Tak ada.
which was great.
Tak ada,
In
tak ada
fact,
klien yang
Will
perasan.
says that
Beza
Lux's
tu.
profits have risen 30% since they started the pilot, while productivity
And 30% meningkat productivity,
up 24%.
24%.
We have for several years been using a time tracking software called Toggle. So we were able to
One second. Time tracking software yang dipanggil Toggle. Ini pun saya sempat Google tadi sebelum saya buat video ini. Memang menarik apabila kita nak work remotely dan kita buat work berdasarkan kita punya output especially. Memang software tu, Toggle itu boleh track lah kita punya masa yang staff kita gunakan untuk siapkan satu-satu task itu. Saya akan letak link dekat bawah, anda boleh explore. Nama dia Toggle ya.
Look at over year on year, comparing it to kind of pre-pilot, how was it impacting and how productive were we being? And we could see that, in short, people were working less, but we were making more profit. So it was another indicator.
Dengar tak dia kata, we were working less but making more profit. Well, menarik. It's all about quality and efficiency, kan?
That people were being more efficient with their time. It's not about how many hours you put in, it's about focusing on outputs. So yeah, we were thrilled to see that an increase in productivity leads to a more profitable business.
Well
Neither
done.
Lux nor
Very
Big
well
Potato Games cut employees' pay with the switch to a shorter working week.
Advocates for a 4-day working week say it's more environmentally friendly because it reduces the number of days people commute to work.
Okay, sekarang dia masuk satu lagi aspek berkenaan dengan bagaimana 4 hari bekerja ni boleh selamatkan environment juga. Okay, ini menarik, kita tengok. Jom.
So it seems like a fitting model for sustainable events business Legacy Events. The Oxford-based company has operated on a 4-day week since 2018.
2018. So company ni based in Oxford, diorang dah start buat 4 hari bekerja since 2018. Ya. So kita tengok apa diorang punya output dan performance sekarang.
Function with the company rebrand. Legacy Events is also paying employees the equivalent of what they would earn in the sector if they were working a 5-day week.
Okay, penting kita nak kena highlight dekat sini berkenaan dengan walaupun bekerja 4 hari seminggu saja, payment mereka tetap sama. Daripada 5 hari sebelum ini ke 4 hari, payment sama. Ya. Good.
Sustainability was always meant to be at the core of Legacy Events, and I've worked in sustainability for 15 years, and I've talked a lot about employee burnout, about well-being, about having a proper work-life balance. And so it seemed to me if I was starting a company...
Menarik sebab selama ini saya ingat macam sustainability tu kita cerita tentang green technology and whatnot saja. Rupanya tentang well-being, burnout, kesihatan kita pun is part of sustainability juga dan resilience. So company Legacy Event ni dah practice. Menarik.
I should practice what I've preached and really embed that in the company. And so to me, it seems obvious if you're going to have a work-life balance, you need to give people almost as much leisure time as they have at work. So a 4-day week just seems natural. We're a remote company as well as a 4-day week company, which means that our staff don't travel into the office as much as perhaps other companies do. So that means that they have a lower...
Okay, ini menarik tentang, dia ada cakap tentang travel. Dekat Malaysia, memang kita banyak habis masa atas jalan. Anak dekat bandar-bandar besar sebagai contoh, sekarang saya duduk di Kuala Lumpur. Oh my goodness. Federal Highway, kadang-kadang kita pergi balik kerja seminggu. 1 jam, 2 jam atas highway saja. Banyak quality time kita habis dekat atas jalan saja. So, mungkin dengan adanya 4 hari bekerja seminggu ini dapat mengurangkan masa kita membazir atas jalan. Okay?
Footprint, which benefits us all.
But Fairweather has struggled with getting her team to take vacation.
They're not feeling burnt out. They don't feel they need to take 2 or 3 weeks away from work to go and recharge.
Okay. Ini point yang menarik. Dia kata apa? Sejak diorang amalkan 4 hari bekerja seminggu ini, jarang staff ambil cuti panjang ataupun ambil cuti lah basically. Sebab cukup cuti hujung minggu yang 3 hari itu cukup untuk mereka recharge balik, ada masa quality time dengan family, dengan anak-anak. Menarik ke tak menarik kan? So senang dari segi operation company pun tak banyak affected.
We all need longer times away from work.
So it's clear there's still a mindset shift needed in the workplace, even among those employees who have been able to enjoy this increase.
Okay, mindset shift ni memang satu isu yang patut kita, Malaysia sebagai satu negara yang hebat, kita perlu fokus mindset, dan bukan saja mindset tapi skill kita juga. Okay, untuk kita ada mindset shift ini dan skill juga, kita kena practice Agile. Agile ni bukan sekadar mindset atau value ataupun kena respon cepat. Ada orang kata Agile ni, saya ingat lagi ada seorang Minta maaf ya, ada seorang profesor kata kita agile kalau bos kita message pada pukul 2-3 pagi, kita kena respond immediately. Maaf Prof, itu tak tepat. Yang berdasarkan agile practice, Scrum Master ini, kalau anda ambil sertifikat dan sebagainya, dia punya own ritual dia, dan itu tak mengganggu kita punya waktu rehat kita lah. So untuk mengamalkan 4 hari bekerja ini, memang kita kena pantas dan cepat dan agile, dan ada dia punya own practice dia sendiri. So saya galakkan, saya akan letak link dekat bawah, bolehlah ambil mana-mana course berkenaan dengan agile practice, Scrum Master and what not, untuk kita betul-betul pastikan 4 hari bekerja ini satu kejayaan untuk Malaysia. Okay? Jom kita sambung.
Flexibility. But it seems like, for the most part, the benefits have outweighed the cost for these companies.
It's enabled me to focus on other things. On a Monday, I work for charities. I do some voluntary work for a dog charity.
Yeah,
it's lovely to have that extra day to just go and visit my friends and family, but also wind down mentally. And I feel really refreshed by the Tuesday.
Masa saya kat UK dulu memang banyak orang kata dorang sangat practice work-life balance dan dorang tak kacau after office hour, dan masuk office saja hari Isnin memang fresh. Saya pernah my supervisor pesan Nazri jangan masuk lab waktu hujung minggu, tapi saya degil, saya masuk juga, masuk sekejap sajalah. Tapi betul, beza sangat berbeza. Okay?
And ready to go.
And it's not just smaller businesses that are embracing a shorter working week.
Consumer goods giant Unilever has trialled a 4-day working week in New Zealand, while Microsoft tested it out in Japan for a month. Iceland's long-running trial of shorter working hours between 2050.
One sec. So ni adalah study yang quite recent. Shorter working week trial in Iceland hailed as an overwhelming success. Alhamdulillah, tahun 2021, 4-day week and overwhelming success in Iceland. Scandinavian countries, excellent guys.
In 2019 was hailed as an overwhelming success. And one report in the same year found 86% of Iceland's working population either work shorter weeks or now have the right to.
86%.
An even bigger trial kicked off in the UK in June, with 71 companies and more than 3,300 employees signed up to test a 4-day week over 6 days.
That's a lot. Ya, dia kata start bulan 6 ini 2022 ini, sebanyak berapa tadi, 77 companies dah start join this experiment untuk buat 4 hari bekerja selama 6 bulan. This is very interesting experiment, kita akan tengok nanti macam mana. But so far tadi punya company pun dah ada menunjukkan banyak benefits 4 hari bekerja ni.
Alex Sujung Kim Pang, who wrote a book on productivity and shorter working hours, pointed out in a recent report that there's a historical precedent. As early as 1922, the Ford Motor Company experimented with reducing the working week from 6 to 5 days, and it became a permanent policy 4 years later in 19...
So 6 to 5 days, right? Pada tahun 1922 tadi tu ataupun 1926 tadi itulah.
26.
So could we see the 4-day working week become the norm in the next 5 years?
What we're seeing is certainly in certain sectors of the economy, particularly those sectors that maybe traditionally would have been primarily office-based, maybe now they're either remote first or they're hybrid. So you could definitely see the 4-day work week going from being an ambition to being the norm really quickly, even in the space of 2 to 3 years. Competition can really drive some incredible changes. We're not...
So nampak kebarangkalian untuk kita transform daripada 5 hari bekerja ke 4 hari bekerja tu agak tinggi. So insyaAllah
seeing this at a corporate level, but a national level, attracting the best talent, attracting investment.
Again, they repeat, untuk attract best talent. Memang orang-orang yang sangat high performance people ni sangat fokus kepada quality over quantity dan work-life balance. Please, kalau nak attract best talent, please make sure that anda punya company, syarikat anda ini memang betul-betul practice this kind of like healthy culture.
We could definitely see the 4-day work week becoming something that even countries turn to, and we're seeing governments and policymakers seriously looking at reduced work time as a policy area that they're considering.
Alright, excellent. So Alhamdulillah kita dah nampak bagaimana all these companies dekat developed countries, New Zealand, Iceland, Japan, UK dah start practice dan further experimenting with the idea of bekerja 4 hari seminggu. Malaysia tahniah, Johor tahniah, anda dah start buat this experiment insyaAllah dengan cukup knowledge, cukup skill, with the right mindset, belajar the right technique untuk kita pakai agile. InsyaAllah kita punya negara Malaysia, rakyat kita, mental health kita akan terjaga, hubungan human touch kita antara keluarga, mak ayah dengan anak-anak terjaga. InsyaAllah Malaysia akan jadi satu negara yang hebat sekarang dan akan datang. Baik, sekiranya anda belajar something daripada video kali ini, saya hargai sangat kiranya anda dapat tekan button like dan subscribe, dan silalah tonton banyak lagi video dekat sini, dan kita jumpa lagi dalam next video. Semua jaga diri dan teruskan perjuangan anda untuk menjadi orang yang hebat. Kita jumpa dalam next video. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum.